Hello and welcome to the Flourishing Introvert Talks with me, Jo Rawbone. This is the podcast that celebrates the natural gifts of introverts so that we can flourish in all situations. Episode 233. Opportunities are limitless. I realise that there will be some who struggle even with the title of this episode, and that's why we'll be building on from last week's episode about mindset. Given that many of us take a summer break from normal routines at this time of year, it feels timely to delve into the realm of possibilities and opportunities. And there's another catalyst for this episode. You can't have failed to notice all of the social media posts about making the most of what's left of the year. And I get it. But it does feel to me a bit like scaremongering and guilting us over what we haven't achieved. So how about we look at this from a positive perspective, that of a new academic year? September is about new beginnings, fresh starts and new pencil cases. I used to love new stationery and the start of a new school year, inevitable maybe as the daughter of school teachers. And I've chosen to continue to perceive my life and the year in that way too. So in this episode, I'll be encouraging us to use our frustrations not to drive us further inward into our comfort zones, but as the catalyst for crafting a fulfilled life that we love. We have to start somewhere, so here's my proposal. If July were about leaving things behind, things that you were glad to see the back of, things that frustrated the hell out of you, things that disempowered you, and August was about reflecting, replenishing and planning for your fresh start in September, what could you be looking forward to? Now, there's a bit of mindset work needed here too, as humans do have that default negativity bias, as I've talked about elsewhere. So this is the time to turn things around and determine our own path. Some of you know I certified with Mike Dooley as an infinite possibilities trainer nearly a decade ago now, I think, and the principles have been part of my life ever since. It's these principles that contribute to my optimistic outlook, even though, and maybe especially given all that's going on in this crazy world of ours. The whole premise of his work is that there is enough for everyone and possibilities are boundless. This mindset encourages people to think beyond perceived limitations, whether they be societal, personal or circumstantial. This is not always an easy concept to accept, especially if you're in a bind or surviving through tough circumstances. But nonetheless, it's the one I have chosen as I find it preferable to the alternative. It's one way I rail against the negativity bias that we're all pre-wired with. So let me say a little more about this, and you'll see how this mindset has shaped who I am and how I work. Dooley hypothesizes that our thoughts and beliefs play a crucial role in shaping our reality. Yep, thoughts become things, and I notice what I look for. If what I look for is bad news and all that's wrong with the world, I'll surely find it. But if I believe in infinite possibilities, I open myself up to a wider range of potential outcomes. This belief acts as a catalyst for creativity, innovation and growth, allowing people like me and you to envisage and pursue paths that we might not have otherwise considered. It literally creates the foundations that enable us to highlight and overcome our limiting and self-limiting beliefs. The three core tenets of the infinite possibilities mindset are, number one, clarity of outcome. We need to know what we want and need. Number two, positive focus. We need to focus on that desired outcome rather than our fears, doubts or limitations. Number three, take action. We need to purposefully, intentionally, and consistently do things that support that outcome. If we do these things, we notice that opportunities will appear, and it's down to us to spot them and make the most of them. In the words of Mike Dooley, to spark change, it must come from within. It must exist in thought, in spite of the circumstances that presently surround you. This one concept pulls together Viktor Frankl's recommendations to focus on what we can control, the power of purposeful intentions, the necessity of taking aligned action, and much, much more. Now, if you're intent on living that Groundhog Day of disappointments and complaining about your lot, this episode, if you're still listening, will probably have prompted a whole host of tutting, eye-rolling and head-shaking. Well, that's your stuff. And no, it needn't be that way. It's never too late to change. We have neuroplasticity of the brain on our side, an awareness of how to build better habits thanks to people like Charles Duhigg. And you have your desired outcomes on your side too. So what do you want? What do you want your life to be like? How do you want to live and feel? What legacy do you want to leave in people? What do you want to achieve? Now let's bring it back to why now. What's behind the timing of this episode? Well, clearly we're in that summer hiatus with the autumn to look forward to and to make the most of. So here's a quick guide on how to get ready for the new term of 2024. Number 1, decide what you want, how you want to be and what you want to have achieved by the end of the year. Following the be, do, have prompts can be helpful, and because you're getting to decide your outcome, only you will know which of these carries the most weight. Having real clarity on this will enable you to spot the opportunities as they present themselves. For me, this upcoming autumn term is about creating space and changing how I spend my time. Number 2, having looked into the future, decide what you need to let go of. Make a list of the things that frustrate you and have you feeling dejected at the end of the day or the week. Ask yourself and be honest, what do I grumble inwardly or outwardly about the most? You might not like the answer, but it's a big clue to what you need to change. My biggest frustration is working with people who have no interest in their development and growth. I can work with people who know what's holding them back, but not those who like to play victim and engage people in their yes but game. Number 3, appreciate your strengths, qualities and natural talents, because you'll need to leverage these to make the progress you're wanting. If your self-confidence has been knocked to such an extent that you don't believe you have strengths of any worth, let's talk. You can always book a clarity call with me to get an initial steer. The main qualities I'll be using for this next term of my year are courage, trust and self-belief. There are others, of course, but I won't bore you with them right here and now. Number 4, create and action a plan to close the gap between numbers 1 and 2, the where you want to be and the where you are now, by using your strengths, qualities and talents identified in point number 3. There really is a robust process here, and by having this process, rather than wishful thinking, which tends to lead nowhere in particular, I am able to take aligned action and see what gets results. Will I make the progress I hope for every time? Nope. Life is not like that. It's a series of peaks and troughs, remember? So that's okay. In fact, it's to be expected. But having a plan and a reason to take action keeps me on track. I'll need focus, resilience and a growth mindset at this point, because it's all too easy to fall at the first, second or third hurdle if I'm not committed. I'll also call in my inner and outer advocates during this process, as I'll need sounding boards and life rafts at various points. After all, I'm letting go of a way of working that has been my life for the last 30 years, and that's no mean feat. Lastly, measure progress against the plan and remember to include the happy accidents and surprise opportunities. I've noticed that once I get clear on my outcome, I spot opportunities that I would probably have discounted beforehand. It's like daring to view the house that meets none of your specifications, and the moment you step through the door, you know it's the one. Opportunities are like that too. We can either rule things out as being not quite right, or we can dance with them for a while to see what happens. It's part of experimenting with this thing we call life. The only thing guaranteed is death, and all else is variable. Grabbing hold of the variables and dancing with them for a while can teach us so much. The beauty of using this hiatus in which to reflect, replenish and plan means we can take our own sweet time. What we can't afford to do, I strongly suggest, is squander the time so all of a sudden we're into October feeling just as frustrated. If you have younger people in your life, you probably help them to prepare for the new school year, so why not do that for yourself at the same time? Just think about the role model you're being when they realise that these are life skills, not just what kids have to do before school starts. The beauty here is that it isn't to meet someone else's expectations or an external target, but to take the first step in creating the life you deserve. You and only you are responsible for that. You may have to or want to take others with you, but honestly, those who truly love you only want the best for you. Now, if you're thinking, it's all right for you, Joe, but I can't do that, recognise that as a self-limiting belief and jump into my August celebration offer to get a free group coaching session as part of the Flip Your Limiting Beliefs self-paced course. You pay nothing more for it, so now is a brilliant time. You'll find the link to nab your place in the show description and on my website under courses. Be quick though, as the offer is only open until the close of business on August the 20th. Know that I will be doing my own opportunity making over this summer period, as will many others. I can almost feel the winds of change and the positive energy that they bring swirling overhead. So I'm going to throw my windows wide and invite them into my house. How about you? As the saying goes, we can't do the same thing and expect a different result. We are all change makers because life is change. If you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, then please subscribe, rate us and leave a comment, because we know that helps other people find the podcast. And if other people find us, other introverts can flourish.
You are listening to an Intentional Media Production podcast.